Are they
I'm always
communists?
prepared to blame communism when anything goes wrong. Communists.
That's it.
All right, we are live. So hello. Had some technical difficulties there at first. I don't know what was going on. Gonna tweet about it here. How you doing?
Just fine. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Cool beans.
Tweeted. Spouted.
You know, my Spoutable's been acting weird with my Google Chrome. It won't log me in.
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it's cookie related or what it is. I mean, it has in the past just fine.
Yeah.
However, Mozilla does just fine with it.
That's weird. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about much of any of that stuff to
Oh
try
yeah,
to
no,
guess what it could be.
I'm not sure what it is either.
Yeah.
I've been trying to hunt it down because it's annoying to have to use another browser, but I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Doug. Doug's in the house. Ed Old School More. I like old school stuff.
Yeah, I'm tending to more and more.
Turn that light off above me. All right, then. So for those of you, Doug, joining us live, yeah, normally we do this on Tuesdays, but I couldn't. So we're doing it today because Ed is flexible.
Just like that.
Iced coffee is kind of weird after you brushed your teeth.
Oh, isn't everything?
Yeah. Not orange juice. That's a lie.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of the worst that are different. Whew.
All right. Well, also for those of you viewing at home, warning, we tend to get into some pretty geeky topics. So viewer discretion is advised. All right, I got my Audacity ready. I got my notes up. I got my tablet in front of me with the first story ready to go.
Yep.
I'm really,
I think it's all ready to go for me.
Really itching to talk about this first story.
San Caluma.
Oh boy. All right. I guess I should start recording.
What I do? What I do? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay, this is episode 51. What the heck?
Wait, what? Geeky? Yeah, I know, Doug. It's a change of pace. I mean, but
I know that's not what you come for. It's just kind of a byproduct.
Yeah,
you come for a deep philosophical discussion about life, the universe, and everything, and we just do that through Golden Age Superman comics.
Yep.
All right.
You ready?
Crunch this ice. All right, I'm ready.
That's me crunching ice too. Best I could do.
We should eat potato chips. We should do anything that would make somebody go crazy.
Hell yeah! Get to the bottom of a cup with a straw. Do all that. Yep. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode 51, Terror Stalks San Caluma. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Ed, and 1,000 miles over there to my left is another host, Mr. Steeven Orr.
Hello.
Yes, Doug, philosophy is always entertaining. And for those of you that aren't on it with us live, but listening to this post, this is one of our live people we just responded to. So
That's right.
we're
are
not just talking in the air, although we are talking in the air. But yeah,
we are a philosophy podcast disguised as a Superman podcast.
Cleverly and successfully, I believe.
Yeah. I don't know if you could even put me in the same bucket as the word clever. I'm not even in the same room.
I think we're pretty cleverly disguised as a Superman podcast.
Well, yeah, considering it's called Superman Super Show.
Well, Okay, so this past week, right? Or maybe a little longer, maybe a couple weeks ago, within the past couple weeks, I went looking for some podcasts that were comic book centric, but not the typical comic book kind of stuff I've been listening to. And that's kind of difficult to define as far as, well, I was looking for something that wasn't. I know what I normally listen to, and I wanted it to be comic book centric, but other.
Yeah.
And I saw a show that had just started up, and it is the sister show to another show that I picked up as well. Two of them together, on the same feeds, but you can same feed singular, but you can get them on separate feeds plural if you want to. That way you can pick one or the other. They both are discussing creators that were made famous by working on Donald and or Scrooge McDuck and Donald
okay.
Duck. But
Yeah.
the one is the new one, just released its second episode this week, called Rosa Remarks. And it talks about the career in chronological order of the Disney strips that Don Rosa drew
Okay.
and or wrote eventually. And the main podcast, the Rosa Remarks, is an offshoot of Barks Remarks, which is the same only for the creator, Carl Barks.
Okay.
Now, most of my comic book reading career, I have heard of both, at least definitely one, and then both of these men as notable creators. But I have never read Disney books.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, if they're going now, the quasi unfortunate things is the Barks remarks is about 60 plus episodes in. So I'm starting rather late on that one, but I'm a fan of the chronological discussion of a creator's output. That just seems to really fit in the pocket of what I like to listen to. So I started listening to both of them. As I said, Rosa Remarks has only got 2 episodes out, and I've listened to 2 episodes of Barks Remarks as well. I listened to both of them back to back. When a new Rosa comes out is what I'm going to do. I think they come out about once a week, it looks to be like. And I must say, I have been surprisingly entertained with the Donald and or Uncle Scrooge stories that these gentlemen have been involved in. Could be could be due to their creative efforts. The characters I don't know why exactly, because I'm really surprised by the fact that they are entertaining me to read as much as they are. I'm really surprised. So that is my, I guess, a recommendation if you're interested in some highly thought of creators who also do, pretty inconspicuous creation in that they're Disney products. I mean, I suppose if you want to try really hard, Carl Barks may have some things because of when he was creating that someone would take umbrage to.
Yeah.
But by and large, and that would be in characterizations of certain people, maybe the treatment, Uncle Scrooge, well, yeah, Uncle Scrooge and Donald both, they get kind of aggressive in their treatment of people after negative things occur. Uh, you know,
Yeah.
um, kind of like well, Stephen, kind of like the Saturday morning cartoons you and I grew up with, Bugs Bunny and stuff like that. I mean,
Yeah.
it has aspects, but overall, it's about as innocuous as you can get, short of a Richie Rich or a Spooky Ghost, or some of those books.
Yeah.
Uh, Archie Andrews, I guess, is pretty innocuous as well. But it's been fun reading so far.
Cool. Cool. I'm fairly certain I know the name Carl Barks. I've never heard the other name before. So
Don Rosa,
yeah.
um, Carl Bar. Well, actually, the way that it is often presented is that Don Rosa kind of took over for Carl Barks.
Oh, okay.
He came along about the time that Carl Barks was getting rather up there in age. Even now, I think Mr. Barks is gone. But I do know that I have seen Don Rosa at Heroes Con in
Oh,
past recent
cool.
years. So he is up there in age as well, but he is at least able to still travel and get to things like that.
Yeah. Cool. I have been binging the crap out of two podcasts, which are like yours. They're tied together, but they don't have one feed. They're two separate feeds, and they have nothing to do with comic books. Uh, Legends of the Old West and Infamous America,
Okay.
and they're both history podcasts. It's got a one guy, one host, Chris Wimmer, but it's one of those podcasts that obviously he makes money off of it because he's got writers and producers and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it's completely scripted, yet very at least they hold my attention. And over the last couple weeks, I've listened to stuff about freaking Bonnie and Clyde. Um, he did this like crossover episodes where on Legends of the Old West he was doing famous lawmen, and so he did Frank Hamer, who's the guy who took out Bonnie and Clyde. So then over on Infamous America, he did Bonnie and Clyde, and he does like a season is one topic, and they can be anywhere from 4 to 10 episodes per
Okay.
season. Typically, they're about four episodes. But and then I went from Bonnie and Clyde, and then there was today I listened to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's like he talked about the making of the movie, but also the guy Ed Gein from the 50s who inspired Leatherface, basically the idea behind Leatherface. There's just a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. The Bermuda Triangle episodes about that was kind of fun. Legends of the Old West, of course, it's Old West stuff, right?
Right. Right.
But Infamous America can just go all over the place as long as it's a history lesson about something that happened in America. But I have not listened to anything else in the last 2 weeks, really, than those two shows, because
Okay.
I'm way behind on both.
Right.
I mean, I think I'm on season 10, maybe, of Legends of the Old West. And hold on, I think somebody is at my front door.
Uh-oh. Go chase them off.
Yes.
Did you order this? It's like a birthday wrap thing.
Oh,
You found it like over there.
no, that's not mine. I don't know whose that is, guys.
All right.
Thanks, though.
Yep.
That was weird.
Probably some kind of school fundraising or something like that.
No, some neighborhood kids who found an Amazon envelope with like some wrapping paper inside of it, and the label was all worn off. And they said, "Is this yours? We found it over there in the ditch." And I'm like, "No, it's not mine. I don't know whose that is."
Wow.
We had some pretty bad storms recently that
Okay.
probably blew off somebody's porch, you know.
And we have Terry Moore here in the
Hey, Terry,
green
we got
room with us.
4 people watching,
All right.
according to the thing up there. So.
Well, we have 2 people that haven't chimed in. You 2 that have not chimed in, chime so we know who you are.
Chime in.
So, you were talking about your podcast that you've been listening to.
Yeah, I think I'm on around season 10 on like Legends of the Old West, and there might be 25 seasons currently. I'm in 2021 on both of them. That's where I'm at right now. And I know I'm going to reach a point probably here within the next week that it's like, all right, I'm tired of listening to this, and probably will go 6 months without listening to either one again. But it's been a lot of fun. Just some really interesting history type stuff and it makes me, it's like, I don't, if you know of any, let me know, but I would love to hear like comic book podcasts about just the history of comics in the same kind of vein, so they write it and they script it. It's just one person who is narrating, but they still has to be entertaining, which is not an easy thing to do when you're just one voice. But
well, probably the closest to something like that I can recently say that I've listened to was one that talked about the history of San Diego Comic-Con. It was about 6 or 8 episodes long, and it threw out a lot of names of people that were involved and names of like the first or second iteration of the convention and things like that stuff. It was pretty interesting.
That sounds really interesting. If you can remember what it's called, send it to me. Or
okay, I'll look it up in my feed and
I'd like to listen to it.
Okay, not a problem.
All right, that's my banter for this episode.
All right, so today, folks, now that we have bantered, we're going to look at Terror Stalks San Caluma, which turns out is the 3rd story that was in Superman issue number 6, cover dated September-October 1940, with an on sale date of July 10th, 1940. That information is courtesy, as well as the writer and artist, which I'm going to throw out here in a sec, of Mike's Amazing World of Comics. And the aforementioned writer was Jerry Siegel, with the aforementioned artist listed as Paul Cassidy. But let me look at something. I show that on comics.org, or the Grand Comics Database, that Paul Loretta also is responsible for some of the inking.
Okay.
On that, but it doesn't indicate. It's got Paul Cassidy, and he listed semicolon, but no indication of pages X through Z or so. I'm not sure, and there's no footnote or anything as to why someone would be thinking that Loretta was responsible for some of the inks as well. It's hard to say, but it's indicated enough, however, that they listed it on the Grand Comics Database, and that's a pretty reliable source of information. So, those of you out there interested in such things, I guess, take that as you will. All right, let's do a synopsis. And this is courtesy of the DC Fandom Wiki. Is that where the
no, this comes from
is this from
Mike's Amazing World of Comics as well?
Okay. The South American nation of San Caluma is devastated by an earthquake and a tornado. Well, that sucks.
That sucks.
Back to back. That's pretty nasty. A relief commission is meeting to supply aid to the needy country. A plane carrying the commission members is sabotaged by the mechanic. Superman stops the plane from crashing, saving the passengers. Later, a boat carrying relief supplies has its engine damaged. Superman tries to question the original saboteur, good word, by the way, but the man is assassinated. Also, while transitioning between Clark and Superman, a thief witnesses that action. He tries to blackmail Superman, but becomes scared and accidentally kills himself. A lot of stuff happening this 13 pages here. But we're not done, because Superman pushes the previously mentioned ship of relief supplies all the way to San Caluma. On the way, a plane tries to bomb the ship. Superman stops it and eventually uncovers the reason for the sabotage. A man named Mumson wants to be made dictator. I was about to say director of the country. Made dictator of the country, or he will not allow relief to come to it. Superman exposes his plot, but in trying to kill the man of tomorrow, Mumson dies in an explosion. With the terrorist gone, relief comes to San Caluma. Goodness. Very, very spy, raconteur kind of writing here. We, even though this is, what was it, 40, so early in World War II for us, right? No, maybe we weren't in it until what, 40?
Yeah, we weren't in it.
1 or 42?
41. I think Pearl Harbor was in 41.
41. Right? Okay. And but still, yeah, I've always, not always, but whenever I stop to think about it, I'm kind of surprised that Nazi spyish kind of thing isn't happening more in the Superman books.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is close. It's kind of spy-ish, kind of a tangential. It's an espionage, I guess, rather than a direct spy here in the U.S. or anything. But had definitely a topic, a story topic that we haven't seen too much of in Superman so far.
No, and the little bit in the middle where Clark comes home, changes into Superman, and there's a thief in his closet who he walked in on, and the guy hid from him and then decided to come out and stick him up. I feel like that's the first time in these Superman issues where a kind of a secondary plot that had nothing to do with the main plot was introduced in the story. And I tell you what, it threw me off, because with everything going on, like you said, in those 13 pages, just with the relief ship and the guy trying to crash the plane and all that, and then you introduce this element in as well. I literally had to read this twice before I even understood what was going on.
Okay.
Not that I didn't enjoy it. I did enjoy it, but I remember the first time I finished it, I went on to read the other two that we're going to talk about tonight, but I remember going, I have no idea what that story was about. It was just like, hey, Billy D.
Billy D! What up, dog?
Billy D's in the house. But yeah, I sat there going, what was the point of that? I don't understand what even happened. And then I went back to read it again today, and I was like, oh, because I don't even remember the first time through that there was a bad guy. I remember thinking, why are they trying to stop the relief efforts going on? Who's the boss behind this? And and then finally, when I read it the second time, they did tell me who the boss was, but apparently that didn't stick the first time, because he literally comes in at the very tail end. It's like, by the way, Mumson.
Yeah, this is the dude. Yeah,
he's the guy. Yeah.
Don't know why or what he has to do with anything, just that he has the leverage to do this.
Right. It's like, okay, so is he from San Caluma, or was he reading the newspaper one day and said, "Oh, look what happened to San Caluma. I think I want to be their dictator."
I've got a good scam.
Yeah. So they do tell us who the big bad is. They tell us why he's doing this, as far as what he's going to get out of it. But as how he comes into the picture, we have no clue.
They don't tell us who he is. They do, yeah. So it's, but yeah, this was, and we remarked recently on one of the previous episodes about how this frantic kind of things happening hadn't been used for a little while in the stories. The stories were a little bit more streamlined and focused. And now here, all of a sudden, we've got the bomb and the mechanic and the dude
Oh my
with the
goodness.
ship, and he pushes it in the closet, and he knows. It's like,
well, and it's funny because every time a bad guy does something in this story, before Clark can learn or Superman can learn who they're working for, they die. And you got the guy who is, so first it's the airplane with that's bringing the two guys from the commission to the flying field is what they called it, so they could I guess give a speech before the ship takes the relief stuff over.
I guess it's like
I don't understand that at all, but so we have the co-pilot on that airplane that's just like, I'm gonna stop the plane, and
with an awesome panel of him being the other pilot defending himself is one of the best panels I've seen in a while.
Hit him in the head with a freaking wrench or something.
With a wrench, yeah.
It's like, and then we get so the plane's going down.
Right.
Clark's there at the airfield. He sees it. He changes to Superman. He leaps into the air and pushes it up enough because it not only is it about to crash, it's going to fly into a steeple. And so he pushes it up while he's in the air enough so it goes over the steeple. But oh no, it's in the path of another airplane. And I can buy, all right, here's the thing. I can buy him jumping up to the top of the steeple and then jumping up and pushing the one airplane away. But he jumps over to the second airplane, grabs onto the tail, and then, again, for those listening at home, Superman can't fly at this point. If he could fly, I would buy this. But he grabs onto the tail and somehow manages to just push it with no resistance behind him at all. But so he saves the planes. We find out, okay, it's the co-pilot. He's the one that did it. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you why. And they take him to jail. And so he's going to go question the guy. But that's when he goes home and he changes into Superman. And there's a thief in the closet behind him who just comes out with his gun. Actually, before we even see him, we see that word balloon. He just goes, stick him up.
Yeah.
Which was so weird. And then he comes out with this gun. And then there's like this 5 or 6 panel conversation between him and the thief before either of them do anything. I feel like they wrote this story just about the San Caluma and the relief effort. And then he sat down and went, hold on, that's only like 6 pages. I need another 6 pages in here.
Yeah, I need to fill 13. That didn't do it.
Yeah, so he just, okay, here's what we'll do. I'm going to have a guy discover that Clark Kent is Superman. But how am I going to get out of that? Oh, he'll accidentally fall down a flight of stairs and break his neck. Just, it really kind of, to me, cements home that I think a lot of these stories were just, they didn't have a lot of time. They just bang them out next, bang out the next one. And, because I think you had mentioned before, this isn't the only book that Siegel's writing at this point. He's doing action.
Right.
Or he's doing the Superman comics in action. He's doing the Superman comics in the Superman books, which are 4 times a year. But he's also doing what? He's got other stories that
I think
show
he's
up
got
in action, and
other stories in action, and he might have a strip or 2 in detective.
Yeah. He's got that. Is he the Slam Bradley guy?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'd have to look it up. But yeah, he's one strip is not making how much money he needs to make.
Yeah.
So he is doing multiple strips to make his money. And yeah, this definitely feels like he is not planning, and not that you necessarily have to either. I mean,
no.
There is no 6 strips from now, this is where I want to be. It's here's this strip. Okay. Oh, here's this strip. And so they're very, between from one to the next, they're very disconnected. There's no, other than the main character, there's no, you know,
Yep.
every now and then we did it. When did it happen the first time? Was it with the Ultra Humanite way back, or was it with Luther that there was kind of like one
Yeah.
one
Yep.
carryover?
Ultra Humanite. Yep.
Okay, yeah, just once, and it was the first story was kind of loose about the Ultra Humanite. He was more
Yeah.
in the second, so it. But yeah, it's very much like a. I've got 13 pages. Okay, I'm done. Here you go, and he moves on to whatever his next job is.
Yeah, because there was like you think about the last issue that the Ultra Humanite showed up in. So for at least those 2 to 3 issues, that dude had an arc. You know, he was old bald guy in a wheelchair, and then he is suddenly then in the body. He kidnaps a famous actress and plants his brain in her.
Right.
And yeah, he had an arc, and yeah, and then I have to wonder if this little side story, this that again, I feel like he's stuck in here because he needed to pad out the story. He didn't have enough story. Was this something maybe he had in a drawer? He had started this. I'm going to do a story where somebody finds out Clark is Superman, and so he started something and he didn't know how to finish it, so stuck it in a drawer. And then oh God, I need 6 more pages for this one, and he pulled that one out and he said, "Oh, but this doesn't go anywhere. I know, the guy will fall down a flight of stairs and kill himself."
Okay,
It's
so I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought. My bad.
Well, that whole part, just because like I said, there's almost this theme throughout this entire story of people dying. All the
Yeah.
bad guys in this story
Yeah.
die. Every single one of them die. Even
Yep.
when he goes to interrogate the guy in jail, and then one of the guards is a bad guy, and
No
he pops
doubt.
out and he goes, "Traitor," shoots the guy in the back, shoots Superman, the bullet ricochets off of Superman, and then hits him and kills him too.
I don't know who this Mumpson dude is, but he's got people working for him everywhere.
Right? I was at one point thinking, well, this has got to be Luther. This feels like a Luther story, but no, Mumpson, who's this guy?
I don't know. Looking at Grand Comic Database for July of 1940, Siegel is credited with a strip in Action Comics, Adventure Comics, All American Comics, All Star Comics, Detective Comics, More Fun Comics, and the Superman book, which has 4 strips in it.
Wow.
So that's 10 strips. Now, they were all produced at the same time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he was under the time constraints to get them all in the same time. They could have come in whenever. I mean, that would be a little more difficult to track. But yeah, so that's 10 strips roughly in the month of July 1940 that had Jerry Siegel's name on them.
Wow.
That's not bad. And you think that the anthology strips, which I don't think, looking at this list, I don't think All Star Comics was an anthology book. I think it was one story throughout. But the rest of these strips are probably 13 pages ish, 12 to 13 pages.
Yeah. So that if you average that, that's 130 pages in a month.
Well, Superman is 4 strips in that comic.
Right.
And then if he wrote the entire All Star Comics, which I read that for the Lords of Order book, not that particular issue, but I don't remember it. Those strips were long because they had an open and close, and then they had room for each character to do his own thing, and there was 6 to 8 characters per, each one 6 to 8 pages long. So that was probably a 60-page book by itself, on top of 4 Superman strips for the Superman, on top of the strips in these other books. So he was turning in
hard.
upwards to 200 pages of script.
Yeah. So it makes sense that these would be just crazy. Yeah.
So,
By the way,
Doug is watching on his phone, he
yeah,
says, because Billy
we're
D and Terry are
yeah.
watching on the TVs. And
I was
yeah, oh,
yeah,
okay.
I was going to point that out. For those keeping score at home,
Yeah,
our
we got
live viewers, Billy's watching on TV, Terry's watching it on the TV, and Doug is watching on his phone.
okay.
I'm
And,
live streaming from my phone.
well, and I have two laptops going.
Ooh,
One that is streaming the camera and one that all the other information is on. So it's
you're like a
so
hacker.
we're just, no doubt, yeah. Eat that, Albanians. Or no, I'm sorry. That's you had to be there, guys. It's okay. Communists and anyway.
Communist, man.
But yeah, that it every time something happened and before Superman could they died.
Yeah. And that's why I felt until we got to that end that it was Luthor behind the whole thing, because everything we've read up to this point that has involved Luthor, this is what he does.
Yeah.
And I don't know why he didn't make this guy Luthor. Munson,
I don't know.
just we do get a first in this book though.
What was the first?
When Superman, after he saves both of the planes and he's falling back to the earth like a leaden weight, I think it said, he looks down and the crowd gathers underneath him, and he's, oh my God, I'm gonna land on these people and kill them all. And so he grabs the sides of his cape, spreads it out like wings, and then just glides over the top of them.
Yep.
It's a very Batman thing that he's doing right there.
He can't fly, but he has graduated to gliding now.
Yes.
So we're getting there. Baby steps. It's he'll glide for 30 or 40 stories, and then he'll finally be able to.
Yeah, we'll have to be out on the lookout for that to see if that comes up again before he starts flying, because I can tell you that it doesn't happen in the next two stories.
No, yeah. Let me make a note here in my notes so that I can track it. Okay.
He also, when he saves the first plane, he does fall to the ground at that point. Mm-hmm. But it's as he's about to land that he sees, now there's a second plane and both planes are going to crash. He doesn't just hit the ground and jump back up. He does a somersault for some reason.
He jumps from the church to the ground and then jumps off the ground, somersaults to get to the second plane.
I mean, he actually tucks his knees in and grabs his knees, turns himself into a little ball for a second.
Yep.
I think he's just showing off at that point.
Well, he's Superman. I mean, who's going to say anything? It's, several panels as he's gliding, he is drawn in a way that he is flying.
Oh, yeah.
Several times in this story. So, I mean, people are the artists are getting to the point where they're like, oh, come on, he can fly. But no, he can't fly yet. Okay.
Just the first time he jumps in this story, a tremendous upward leap, they say. It's the motion lines have him jumping in a curve, and that's not how you jump. That's how you fly, but that's not how you don't jump that way.
Yeah, you can't claim a whole lot about physics in comic books, but I mean, you would have to jump in straight lines up and straight line down, which typically he does, but. Yeah, here lately it's been more and more that, he's flying. Nope, Superman doesn't fly. Okay, all right.
But he can glide.
He can now. That's
the two officials are very funny looking. I love their outfits.
They're like something from the 18th century. Dressed up like 18th century dudes.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Groundhog Day, the guys who are part of the Groundhog Day ceremony, they get the groundhog out of the thing. I believe that's how they're dressed. Big top hats, the big fluffy necktie things, and I don't understand the point of these guys, but they're funny looking.
Yeah, we're getting ready to send a relief ship to their country. I don't understand why they're coming here. Everything has already been set up, obviously.
They're there to give us the speech, I guess.
Or maybe christen the boat with a champagne bottle or something, one of those
Yeah.
things. I don't know.
And then again, the thief guy in the apartment, that's funny. Especially since, where's your dough? He tells Superman, and Superman's response is, that's none of your affair. And then the guy tells him he's going to shoot him. And Superman's response is, well, you're not going to shoot me. You don't want the neighbors to hear that. That's why I've got a silencer.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, he's got a silencer on the end of his gun. Let me see. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels of conversation between the two of them before the guy finally takes a shot at Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when he's like, it didn't work, did it? No, he starts straightening his ties like Rodney Dangerfield. He's really uncomfortable at this point. And then that's when he realizes, holy crap, that's Superman. And he runs.
Have we seen the text-only panel before?
Yes, like where it says the thief fires again, again, and again. Yeah, I feel like we have. I remember there was a story where he would put those text panels in, and then he would put a little design under each bit of text in those panels, which
that's right,
looked weird. I assume just to fill up the space, but they're definitely not doing that here. But there's a lot of them. It's
nothing that we've seen a lot of, and here, it's all through this story.
Yeah, each page has at least one. Most of them have 2 or 3. And I'll tell you what, I know that this story wasn't technically titled. They gave it a title afterward when they put the collection together, whatever. But for a story titled, what is it? The Terror in San Caluma. Except for the first 2 panels of the story, nothing takes place in San
Terror
Caluma.
Stalks San Caluma.
Yeah.
No. So I don't know what terror is unless a back-to-back earthquake tornado is terror, which I'm not trying to make light of it, but terror stalks San Caluma. I would think that somebody is in San Caluma doing something. Terror stalks, like
a serial killer or something.
Something, I don't know, a man-eating tiger or something, depending on where San Caluma is.
And in all this mess, he still manages to get Lois in there and to put her in danger so the Superman can save her.
Yes, and she has to be rescued. Yes, indeed. Yep. So that's on top of the plane falling and the other plane falling and the dude in the closet and the ship not running and then the ship being pushed and then the ship being bombed by the airplane and then it's
so much. And the guys on the ship, they look down, they see Superman it's a demon, and they start shooting at him.
Yeah, they're taking shots at him.
They feel really bad because they get to San Caluma and they realize, he was just trying to help us, and we were shooting at him.
Which is funny that they put that in there, that the sailors actually recognized. Yeah.
And then we finally get introduced to Munson. He has all his plans apparently written down on some paper that he throws into the furnace. But Superman is fast enough that he reaches into the fiery furnace and pulls the papers out before they get burned too much. So then Munson blows himself up.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Before he can give any information away, just like everybody else.
Now, if in Superman number 7, we get a story that ties into this and we find out that Luthor was behind the whole thing, man, I would get up and just clap.
Luthor was Munson.
He pulls off his mask.
Yes, in the next issue in one of the stories.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for that darn Superman.
Oh man, yeah, lots of franticness. Just the return of the kinetic, frantic style of, and this is kind of a double thing. It's only 13 pages, and it feels like when he got done originally, it wasn't enough. So he inserted that dude finding out who Superman was in the middle. and then with all of this frantic all around it. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and that threw me off. It had nothing to do with the rest of the story, and so I was, what
Not at all.
what's happening here? What did I start a new story and not realize it? And then
Yeah.
so again, I had to go back and read it a second time. It's pretty weird that a 13-page golden age story would confuse me so much that I'd have to go back and read it again.
It had so much in it that, and so much that wasn't explained. It was just,
Right.
you got into it, it happened. You got into the next thing, it happened. There were not necessarily any connecting lines or anything like that. Billy D, I'm drinking water with a flavor in it. Sorry, it's not anything more exciting than that. I'm an overweight old guy who's diabetic, so my days
Is
of
it
interesting drinking are kind of over.
is it magic water?
Yes, but it's not toilet water because that's something
Oh,
completely different.
that's good.
Mm.
And it's funny because when you really kind of look through it, we talk about how every bad guy, the first bad guy steps up and he does something bad, and then Superman tries to find out who he's working for, and then somebody comes and kills him,
Mhm.
and then it really only happens twice. The guy in jail, the guard comes and shoots him and kills him, and then he gets shot and killed with a ricochet. But then it doesn't happen again until the two guys that set fire to the warehouse,
Right, that
as
put
they're
Lois in
leaving.
danger. Mhm.
Yeah, the part where we had to get Lois, rescued. As they're leaving, a car drives by and guns them down. But it only happens twice, but it felt like it just happened every page. Somebody was dying, and both times when they're killing the other person, somebody's yelling out, "Die, traitor!"
Mhm. Now, you do have the dude who found out who Superman was, but he dies accidentally.
Did
So
he?
it happens. It happens 3 times, but so that's, but again, 3 times in 13 pages, that's going to feel like it's happening all the time. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
right. Well, yeah, 3 times, and then, of course, Munson blowing himself up. So
4 times. Yeah. So
yeah,
every,
but I wonder, did the guy really fall down the stairs, or did Superman push him so fast that he
no,
didn't see?
we did not see anything like that. So
He did threaten to snap the guy's neck.
yes, he did. And Superman is getting much more aggressive with stuff like that. Many panels of hand around throat
Oh my God, right?
is coming up in these stories now. Yeah, he's getting much more and what better to be aggressive about than somebody giving away your secret identity? I mean,
Yeah.
if something is going to push Superman,
Yep.
that may be the thing that, like, left marks on that guy, or so, which is interesting because that concept comes up in another one of the stories, right? That's how he found out the dude only has 3 fingers.
Yeah.
In maybe the
Kinda,
next
yeah.
one of the next ones, but yeah. Um, okay, yeah, I don't think I had anything else that I wanted to point out.
Nope. Me neither. Done.
Alrighty then, folks. Terry Moore, Doug S, Billy D, and all you other people not sitting on cushions. Um, want to thank you for listening. Until next week, I'm Ed. That's Steven, and this has been the Superman Super Show.
Bye.
Ciao.
For those of you joining us live for the first time, this is the portion of the show where Ed and I each save our separate audio files before we start the next episode. I feel like we need like some rousing music, like
Monty Python music.
Yeah. Oh, I almost saved this under the wrong name and wrote over another file.
Ooh, yowzer.
That'd have been bad.
Yep.
That was episode 51, dude.
I work in the beverage industry, so I have to know. Oh, so that's why you're always driving around while you're listening to podcasts. I wondered what you did, Billy, that you said that you were driving around listening this morning. The Benny Hill music. Yeah, that's another good one. The chasey kind of late 1970s, early 1980s British music.
That was not it, is it?
I might have been.
All right.
Okay, so that one is saved and started up again.
All right. So that one that we just did will go out on the 24th, and then this next one will go out on May the 1st.
Be with you. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Wrong date. Yeah, I mess it up. Oh, well.
Today, though, apparently is First Contact Day.
Yakety sax. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yakety sax. Yeah. Billy D dropping the knowledge. All right, we ready for episode number 52?
It is a go.
All right. You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 52, The Construction Scam. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steven. And 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
That's me. Howdy.
How's life treating you, Ed?
Well, about as well as can be expected. You know, I would complain, but it doesn't do any good. So we just soldier on.
You of course remember the great sitcom Cheers, right?
Yes, indeed.
It was one of the best moments in an episode when Norm would come into the bar and everybody, Norm.
It's a dog world.
Yeah. How's it going, Mr. Peterson? Or how you doing, Norm? And he always had something funny to say.
Yep. It's a dog world, Sammy, and I'm wearing Milk-Bone underwear.
Right?
Yep.
Apparently, the first time he did it, they hadn't planned on making that a running thing. But they got such a reaction from the audience that they decided to they put it in another one, and then just became a thing.
Must have been unscripted, and he just threw it out there as a stand-up comedian.
That,
So yeah,
I
could see that.
One of the creators of that show was on I think the Conan O'Brien podcast a number of months back. They were talking about that.
You haven't mentioned on the show, but one and or both of us have been dabbling in non-Facebook, non-Twitter social medias to see what others have to offer. And the two that come to mind, one, I think definitely. The other, I don't think maybe you're on there, but I am. Spoutable, both of us are on.
Yes.
And you can find both of us by name, or you can also find me by Miskatonic. That's my handle. On Spoutable, you can search either the handle or the actual name, kind of like you can on Twitter, but it works a little better on Spoutable, actually. And the other one that I dabble in just to see what it's like is called Mastodon.
Yeah.
You're on there, but you haven't done much, right?
I haven't. I still don't quite understand Mastodon enough to whole. It's whenever I hear people talk about it, it sounds just so bizarre with the different servers and everything. But then yet they'll tell you that doesn't matter though. You can still type in somebody's name, and regardless of what server they're on, you'll find them and you can follow them. And I don't know. I've tried looking. I get zero. I get barely any engagement on Mastodon at all. And Twitter, I'm lucky if 4 people see something I tweet. Spoutable, on the other hand, I get a lot more engagement over on Spoutable.
Spoutable is much more non-political. Actually, so is Mastodon. Well,
Yeah.
at least for what I see, and a lot of that is the fact that of the however many thousands of people, I've only managed to follow like 40 or
Yeah.
whatever. So I mean, that's gonna now there are some features on Spoutable already that I wish were on there. I wish there was the ability to mute words.
Yeah.
I desperately want them to do that, and um, I don't know how you can mute people.
Yeah. I'm
You
not
have to
sure.
just not follow them is the only, or unfollow
Yeah.
them if you're following them. So, on Twitter, you could turn somebody off uh, temporarily, and then over a period of time, whenever you want to, turn them back on. You know, um,
Yeah. And I'm sure though those kind of features are coming. Um,
yeah,
you know, for example, they don't have an app yet, and I know
r-
that's coming.
right, yeah,
Um,
it's true.
they didn't have. I think they fixed it, but for a long time, if you were like going through your timeline and then you saw a spout you liked and you clicked on it to see what the look through the replies, go back to your timeline, took you all the way back to the top. It didn't take you where your last were, and that was really annoying.
I
But he
think it still
eventually fixed
does.
that. Does it? Okay, I think it just
Really,
depends
because
maybe on the browser.
okay, yeah, because yeah, I do that, and I've learned, of course, to right click and
Yeah,
open
but
another tab. But yeah, mine still does that if it's
and
changed.
I know that they will be fixing that and other stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
the guy who created it basically, Chris Boozy. I don't know his name.
I'm not sure.
He's on there all the time, and
Oh, okay.
typically if you can spout something like, "Hey, is can I mute words? Can I mute
Mm,
people?" Is that something that, you'll probably end up getting a response from somebody on there that is in the know that will tell you, yeah,
okay.
that's in the works, or we'll add that to the list. He,
Okay.
when he first started the whole thing, he did a big, like the first however many people that signed up before it even launched. Because I was one of them. He sent a big survey to. It's like, what do you want out of this? And he asked a bunch of questions, and then however people voted, that's what he did with the site. And for a
Okay.
lot of stuff like that, it's been mainly what folks have asked for. But the big thing that tore through Spoutable the first after the first week or so that it launched, though, was the whole there he's not gonna they don't put porn on there.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah. There's
that
it's
was, he asked everybody before, do you want this to be a place where people can post pornography? And
that was
the vote was no. And so I won't allow it. And oh my God, some angry people on there for a while.
hmm, yeah.
Pretty clear.
It and my usage of both Spoutable and Mastodon is as a people are talking about it. Let me go see what it's like.
Yeah.
Because now I will say, for me, I have noticed Twitter not functioning
Yeah.
as well as it has in the past recently. But beyond that, I don't see more of things that I disagree with or don't want on there than I did before. But then I've muted people and I've muted words and I've blocked
Yeah.
people and I've done all of these things to where unless a friend of a friend of a friend likes somebody or so, I don't see
Yeah.
all of the poo poo that everybody else says is just rife and it's
Yeah.
everywhere. And I'm
Right.
like,
And that's, I think that was something you pointed out to me when I complained about that. It's like, well, just don't follow those people. And I was like, oh, well, I guess that makes sense, doesn't it?
yeah, or if they, if they put something up, if they retweet something, you can either block that other person
Yep.
or whatever the offensive concept is, pick out those two or three words, uh, Trump, and mute the word. And so any tweet that has that is not going to come through. And so, I still maintain people, and it's funny because on both Spoutable and Mastodon, people have come from Twitter so that they can go somewhere else and show you examples of what's on Twitter and bitch about what's on Twitter. And I'm
Right.
like,
Right.
I
Yeah.
thought your point was to leave that behind. Why are you dragging it over here,
Yeah.
regardless of what's going on?
Yeah,
So
that cracks me up too. People who I see them a lot on Spoutable. People who are like, "Oh man, I'm glad I'm over here because there's so much crap over on Twitter," for example, and then they
yeah,
start putting screen, and it's like,
yeah, it's
that's what I came over here to avoid, and you're telling
yeah.
me you're doing the same thing, but yet you're showing me. Billy says that
Oh,
90% of what he sees is comic books, films, and soccer related. And, I think that's the biggest problem with Twitter is the soccer related tweets.
well, we're going to have to try to, get a handle on that. But yeah, Fordham and, some of those other, it's just, I don't know, which actually, that brings to mind AEW in August is going to be in Wembley Stadium for anybody that's
Oh,
listening that is wrestling fans and doesn't know about that already.
okay.
Wembley Stadium. That's awesome. But yeah, I still maintain uh, people complaining about what's on Twitter. It's like it is a function of who you follow.
Yeah.
So, I understand that you have certain philosophical or political bents. And so you follow those people. Okay. But understand that people who don't agree with them are going to follow them also and comment and get in arguments and whatever
Yep.
until those people that you're following that you're interested in block those other people. And a lot of people don't. They
Yeah.
just let it go, or so you're going to see all of that fighting because the people that you're following don't put a stop to it. So it's still a function of who you follow. That's what you
Yep.
see.
Yeah. Doug says it took him a long time to get his Twitter feed to get content he wanted.
Yep.
And, I think that's part of my problem is that when I start to actually put the work into it, I'm
Hmm.
just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I
Yeah,
go off and do something else. It's like, I'll
but
just put up with the crap.
yeah, it's a weighing thing,
Yeah.
to have Twitter be what I want. How much am I going to
Yep.
work on it to do that? And
Exactly. Everybody's got that line.
yeah, you have to find that common ground to
Yep.
do that.
How
And
much
yes,
how much is going to piss you off before you start doing more work, right?
right.
Yeah.
Or you leave it. That's all I'm doing today. I'm not
Yeah.
messing with it anymore.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, Billy. Soccer fans are savages everywhere, and Professor Allen, were he listening, he could attest to that as well. I'm sure. And who else? There's somebody else that I found recently. Paul Hicks. No, I don't think he's a soccer person necessarily. Somebody else that I listened to a lot of their podcasts over the years. I've recently found that they're a soccer fan as well. In DM group. Well, yeah. The DM groups actually now seems to be the way to go to
I have no idea.
avoid it's
I don't
it's
know
a
what that
group.
is.
It's a group of people like how you can make lists.
Yeah.
Only when like you and I talk, we talk on a
Yeah.
DM. Well, you could send a DM and you can list a group of people,
Okay.
and then everybody that responds sees those comments, and only those people on that list see
So it's
the comment and can interact. So
like a group text.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
or
Okay.
a specific group chat on a chat.
Nobody's
So
invited me to one of those.
that's yeah. Usually they're around topics. Everybody that's interested in
Yeah.
a certain thing, they get somebody puts out a group, and yeah. So but
All
yeah,
this
that's
soccer
definitely the way to
talk,
go.
all this soccer talk going on in the comments makes me think of how the new season of Ted Lasso is really good so far.
Uh, Doug or Billy may watch Lasso. I'm not sure. I don't.
I think Doug has said that he likes Ted Lasso, but
Okay.
my daughter's been watching it with me, the new episodes, and it's
Chris Parton, I think, became a fan of Lasso.
That's right. Billy says,
Yeah,
"Hey, I have you, Ed." Yeah, that's right.
we do now. Yep, the three of
Yes.
us. So that's yeah. There's Billy's on another one that I'm on, and it's got probably maybe 20 people on it. The super bloggers. Have you seen where
Oh
the
yeah.
super
Yep.
bloggers will put out
Yeah.
a topic?
Peter Rios has done. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a group for people that have participated in that, and uh, I'm on another one with I forget what that one is, but I think it's a podcast too that somebody invited me to, and I haven't done
Yeah.
anything for yet. But
Well, and I joke, nobody's invited me, but there's almost a part of me that's like, I'm okay with that because, for example, I have two brothers, an older and a younger. I'm the middle child. Probably explains a lot. They will often they don't do it very much, but every once in a while, one of them we have a group text going. One of them will send out a text, then the other one will reply. Then they'll go back and forth for like hours, and my phone go bloop bloop bloop.
Yeah.
And at one point, I was like in the living room. Both of my girls were in there, and I think I said the F word out loud or something like, "Man, what's going on?" And I told him, I said, "My brothers won't shut up in this stupid text. It's blowing up." And so one of my daughters goes, "Well, why don't you just mute it?" And I don't know how to do that. And so she got my phone.
And
She goes, "Okay, but that just means that every once in a while you're going to want to look to make sure you didn't miss something."
right, because you won't hear it come through,
Yeah,
so you'll have to look to see if
yeah.
it's about you. Yeah, yeah, I've done that with a couple things too. Facebook. There's a couple group things on Facebook that I'm like, I don't want to listen. I'll just look in when I have a
Yeah.
chance.
So if I ever got into a DM group like that, I would definitely have to shut off the notifications because that would drive me nuts.
Okay,
All righty. We ready to get into this story?
we are ready.
All right. So today we're looking at the construction scam, which is the fourth and final story to appear in Superman issue number 6. According to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, this was written by Jerry Siegel with art by Paul Cassidy. Superman number 6 has a cover date of September/October 1940, but an on sale date of July 10th. And here's what happened in this story. When a department store collapses due to use of inferior building materials in its construction, Clark Kent visits the head of the construction company, finding him murdered. Unable to turn up any evidence other than the fact that the killer was missing a finger, Clark and Lois visit the construction site of a new stadium. The guard harasses Clark, who complains to the head of the company. Learning that the company president, Mr. Jackson, is missing a finger, Clark suspects him of murder. As Superman, Clark investigates the stadium, finding it inferior in construction as well. He also learns that the mayor is grafting from its construction. The stadium opens and collapses as well. The Man of Tomorrow is forced to let Lois be injured in order to save some children. He rushes her to the hospital, then returns to force confessions from the men. When he returns to Lois, she requires a blood transfusion, so Clark pierces his own skin and allows his blood to be used to save her life. Whew. What do you think of that one?
It sounds full, but it's not as full as that previous story.
No, not at all.
And this section here about the allowing some children, or saving some children and allowing Lois to be hurt. In reading along with John Wilson's Superman in Crisis podcast, recently, one of the recent couple of episodes that he's put out had a story about Superman that for the first time personally that I read where he had to make a choice. And he ultimately let a carload of people drown in the river because he had to save a building that was toppling over.
Yeah.
And they used that as an issue that he was going through. Ultimately, he was starting to hallucinate, and the ghosts of the people that he had to let go came to him and told him, the greater good, and we
Oh,
don't
gee.
harbor, and and so that finally put his conscience at ease. But I thought, in the past, well, I wonder if Superman ever has to deal with that. And yeah, here just
Okay.
within the past couple weeks, I read a story where actually he had to make that call, and someone unfortunately did not survive.
Yeah.
Here, it
There's
wasn't
that.
that bad. I can't imagine this early on they would let it go to that extent. But
No.
she gets hurt. Although when he finds her, she doesn't seem to be that hurt. But later on, when he goes back, she is very much that hurt. And so I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yeah. Yeah. She has a crap ton of bricks and cement fall atop her, and yet she's like, "Oh, I'm okay."
yep, okay.
We get another first in this issue.
Okay. What was it?
Superman uses his microscopic vision for the first time.
Does he, or did he use it to look at the plane in the previous story at the beginning?
That was his telescopic vision.
Telescopic, yes. Okay, because I made a comment of, or I made a note. Why did you not use your X-ray rather than
Yeah.
telescopic? Because it would
Well,
have done so. And this
I'll
is
tell you what,
microscopic.
though,
Okay.
in the previous story, going back to that real quick with the thief in his apartment, I bet he's from that point on he uses his X-ray vision before he goes into his apartment every
Scans
single
the
time now.
apartment. Yep.
Yeah, make sure there's no thieves hiding in the freaking closet.
And we didn't mention, I don't think, but when he first went into his apartment, it was not the way he had left it.
Right. The
Somebody had been
drawer is still
rummaging
open.
around, and
Yep.
he noted that, but he's like, "Oh, I must have just forgot to close it or something." So he
Yeah.
knew something was up, but he didn't rely on his intuition to be correct. He's like,
That
"No, it's so."
that shows you his experience at this point,
Yep.
because otherwise you think he would have went, just to be safe, let me do a quick X-ray scan.
Yeah. Today, if a cushion is out of
Oh
place
yeah.
in his apartment, I'm sure he's
Yep.
doing everything.
Well, and it makes you wonder because that when it comes to those various powers, of course, he has to focus to use like his X-ray vision. Right? It's
Hmm.
not just on all the time.
Right.
But I would think, if it was me, every time I come home, the first thing I would do before I even go inside is just a quick scan. Just in case, just because.
But exactly,
Is there a
because you
thief waiting
can.
for me?
Right.
Are there
Not
dishes
because
that
you're
I have to
paranoid
do?
or anything. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, really. What did I forget to do? Let me look around here and see. Yeah. Oh, I got a vacuum. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, this is the story that I referred to last episode. Although he has all of his fingers, but they show him as uh, like this. Where's the camera? With the finger curled.
yeah.
You're thinking, well, he's missing a finger, that it's like this, he's missing a finger. But no, it shows it, and he's got it bent under and still manages to use these others, even with the, I'm like, why didn't he just cut the thing off? Because it's going to make more
Yeah.
sense that he was in World War I and lost a finger or something. I don't know. He's a
But
crook. They
the
lose
text,
fingers.
yeah, the text even says I got kind of confused there because they show him like that, you know,
Yeah.
but it says Clark notes to his amazement that Jackson's right hand possesses only four fingers. And I'm like, one, two, three, four. No, those are
Yeah.
five fingers. One of them just he can't use.
Right. One doesn't work, but they're all
Yeah.
there. So I don't know.
I guess that means if you break your leg up, only got one leg.
Only one leg. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that other thing is, but you've only got one. Maybe
This
that was a
one,
breakdown in notes as far as what to draw.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. This one was all right.
I enjoyed the previous story better than this one,
Yeah.
but I will say this is kind of a different premise as far as the shoddy building materials and two rather large structures succumbing to the fact that it
Yeah.
was inferiorly done, inferiorly, if that's a word.
It is now.
Okay, make it so. Yeah, I
And
just quoted the Oxford Dictionary earlier today on Twitter, as a matter of fact. So,
we meet this cop in this story, an officer, Sergeant Clancy. I don't
mhm.
know if we've met him before, but I think he shows up in the next Action Comics issue.
I think so. It maybe it's going to be a running thing that
Yeah.
he's because what he does here is, well, Superman avoids him because he's wanting to bring him in. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's like, oh, okay, well, you need to come down to the, it's like, what?
And at the same time, we have the moment where Clark finds the guy dead, and then Sergeant Clancy shows up, and he's like, "Boy, it just seems like every time there's a dead body, you're here, Clark." And and
Yeah, you're always
so
here. Oh, just
I don't
like you.
know if they're setting Sergeant Clancy up to be that guy that's always trying to
Yeah,
either arrest Superman or arrest Clark.
pin something on one of them because one of them is
Yeah.
responsible. They're always there.
Superman swims in wet cement. That was
Yes.
interesting.
After, and I thought this and didn't mention it last episode. How long did he swim and push that boat? Because they weren't near, or they wouldn't be using a
Oh
boat.
no. Yeah, it was this is to Central America.
He's swimming for days.
Yeah,
In the 1940s, it would have taken
yeah.
days for a trip like that.
And most of it underwater. Because once they started shooting at him, he went underwater and started pushing.
They even said, "Well, he's not come back up."
Yeah. So
Well, it's
I'm
'cause you're
assuming
shooting at him.
every couple of hours he did like a whale and and then back down and started pushing. Did you notice the first the first panel in this story, the splash panel as I like to call it?
Nothing is jumping out about it.
The,
Because the eagle is carrying Lois.
the giant eagle carrying a woman. That's so weird. And it looks like he's just swatting at it. Get away.
I assume that's Lois, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Does that even come into play at all in this
No,
story? I
no,
mean,
they
okay.
mostly don't. But I love sometimes they're so weird. That opening panel is just so weird. And this is a big
Uh,
eagle carrying a woman, and that may or may not be Lois. That's just
and you're right.
it's
Yeah, it
like
looks like Superman's just swatting at it.
yeah. So we've Superman obviously is in the same universe as the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
This is the big eagle.
Yes.
I love the guy at the construction site. We get another chance to see Clark be a big weenie wimp. And the guy doesn't want him no, we don't allow people here at the construction site. Pushes Clark over. So Clark goes to complain to the manager.
Yep.
I want to speak to your supervisor.
Your people are being aggressive.
Yeah.
And then the manager is aggressive. Well, no, the manager's not aggressive. That's where he finds that the manager only has 4 fingers.
Yeah.
Just like the fingerprints on the dead dude, right? That's what it was. Fingerprints.
Yeah, finger on the guy's throat. That's
Yeah.
what he saw
Okay.
with his because
Impressions on
the
okay.
guy had a gun in his hand. So Clark's telling Sergeant Clancy, "Oh, you scared me. I thought you were the murderer. See, there's a dead body." And Sergeant Clancy's like, "No, he obviously committed suicide." But Clark's like, "No, he didn't. But I can't say that because the only reason I know is because of my microscopic vision."
Yep. Okay.
Superman falls into a cement mixer. And that's not the scene that he swims in concrete.
No,
So,
that's a different scene. Much more streamlined story.
Yeah. There's
So
nothing
it's
really crazy to point out in this one.
not
Though
that
the
we have.
stadium does have a children's section.
Yes. Every stadium I've been to. Yeah. No, I've never seen that. So.
All right, here's the crazy part. I don't remember who these two guys. After he saves Lois and rushes her to the hospital, he goes back to get the bad guys, tucks one under each arm, and then tucks them both under just the one arm, leaps up to the airplane and hangs them from the landing gear.
Yeah. I noticed
And
that.
then-
I'm like, where's the other guy? I don't. Yeah, I don't know if he's already hung the. Well, no, because he's got them both here. Yeah, that top panel there. It's like, well, he's got the one dude, and you see the. Well, no, here. Okay, you can see the face, and then the legs.
Yep.
And I guess the assumption is, well, the body's in between those somewhere.
Yeah.
Because you can't.
And
see
then
it.
his that's how he forces the confession out of them. Is like, pretty soon this plane is going to land with you guys on its, underneath its wheels,
hanging off the wheels here. So.
And then we almost get a She-Hulk moment here when Superman does a blood transfusion.
Well, she has his super blood, and what is it the doctor says? It's incredible. Your blood conforms to all 4 types.
Yep.
Ooh, I don't know. All 4 RH factors in a human being. I'm not sure that would be a good reaction to have there. So,
but it makes me wonder, because this is the kind of thing that you would see somebody today do a story that would, it's like, remember when Superman did a blood transfusion with Lois? What if we kind of brought that back today, and suddenly Lois is developing these superpowers, and we find out because this, just wonder if that has ever happened, if anybody is, Grant Morrison always liked to do stuff like that, grab something. His was always the Silver Age typically, but.
Well, and speaking of the Silver Age, if this was a Silver Age story, of course, she would develop 3 heads and 8 arms.
Yes,
because of his blood. So it's If it were a Haney story, right, Billy? Bob Haney would have her like with 6 legs, or a centaur's body, or something like that. She would turn invisible from the neck down, or something.
Yeah,
whatever.
In the Golden Age, Superman giving Lois a blood transfusion is the end of the story. Yes. Whereas the Silver Age, that's what would kick the story off.
Yeah, that's where they would start.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Well, I did make a note about how Clark prepares himself for the blood transfusion.
Okay.
He tears open his own skin, is what the narrator tells us.
Yeah.
That
did that not alarm the doctor in any way? Here, let me go ahead and you've already got a big gaping hole in your arm.
Oh yeah. Well, here we'll put the tube there, and we'll. Okay. Yeah.
Or, because we don't see, we see him stick his finger in his arm. Basically, is what he's doing. He's poking a hole into his arm into his bicep, and then it goes directly from there to him laying on the bed with the tube already coming out of his arm. And so did the doctor go, all right, let's get you, there's a hole there, well, we'll just stick this tube in? Or did Clark go, here, I'll do that part of it, I'm medically trained,
I'm kind of squeamish. Let me start it. I don't know, but
because that was weird. And it's interesting though that he can pierce his own skin.
Right. It
makes me think of one of the things that John Byrne added to the Superman mythos, which was that the way he would shave, he had like a piece of the little rocket ship that brought him to Earth, and he would fire his heat beams into that, and it would ricochet onto his skin and burn his hair off. And that's how he would shave. It's the only way he could shave, because razors wouldn't cut through his hair.
What does the rocket ship have to do with it?
Because if he used his heat beams on a mirror, it would just melt the mirror. It wouldn't reflect off.
So there's nothing on Earth strong enough to reflect.
Yeah.
Okay.
It had to be special metal.
Okay. All right. I could say, I'm thinking, what's special about the rocket ship? Well, it can stand up to his heat beam. Okay. I got you.
I got a guess.
Hey. All right. What up,
she
dog?
so much.
So to speak.
All right, go on.
All right, that's all. That's enough. Pet me. Okay, that's enough.
She just wanted her 30 seconds of fame.
Typical of cats. They're very flighty creatures.
Yeah, the other night, it's been getting up to like the mid 70s here during the day, the last few days. And so the other night we had all the windows open and we just left them open. We went to bed and there had been a rainstorm that night, but it dropped to below freezing in the middle of the night. And I woke up at one point and the blankets were off of me. I had just a bit of blanket over me and my feet were out and I was just I'm shivering. And it's at that point that the cat Socks jumps up on me and starts snuggling with me. And I'm like, I need to get up and close that window, but she doesn't do this very often. So
the sacrifices we make.
Yeah. And then eventually, of course, about 5 minutes later, she's like, all right, that's enough of this. And
I'm done. Yeah, it's been getting that warm, but fortunately it hasn't gotten that cold here at night.
Well, that's freaking Kansas for you. It's just a joke in Kansas that if you don't like the weather, don't worry about it. It's going to change then the next day anyway. And this is the time of year. Yeah, it'll get really warm. It's like you almost have to run your air conditioning during the day and then your furnace at night.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that would annoy me because I don't want to do that. I want to do it one way or the other, whichever.
Yeah, we don't put the air. I mean, we don't have central air. We have a window unit, but we don't turn that on until it stays warm throughout the night. You know,
too warm, and we need to do something. Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this issue?
Nope. I think I'm done with that one.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening to this episode of the Superman Super Show. My name is Steven, and that's Ed over there. And until next week, bye.
Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella. Okay. Now it's time for another rousing segment of Steven and Ed Save Files. It's my favorite part of the show. Oh my gosh, I just remembered. I was thinking about this today. I had gone into town today, and as I was coming back, for some reason I remembered, oh crap, Peter Rios emailed me a while back because we were going to do an episode together. He's been doing these episodes like once a month on the Daily Rios where somebody joins him to talk about a certain book.
Yes. Okay.
And he had said, if you want to talk about a book, email me and we'll see what we can do. He said that on the podcast. So I emailed him a couple months ago. I said, I would love to come on and talk about Murder Falcon. Have you ever read it?
Okay.
And he says, no, I've never read it. He goes, let's do it. I don't remember how long ago it was that he emailed me finally and said, all right, I just finished. Let's schedule something. When are you available? And I think I may have responded back and said, let me look at my calendar. And so I gotta try to remember to email him back before I go to bed tonight.
So you didn't look at your calendar is what you're saying.
Right.
You just said, I'll do that.
Right. I either haven't responded to him yet or at all. I don't remember. Peter, if you're watching, I'm sorry. It's like, man, don't piss off the Podfather.
After Murder Falcon, you need to get with him and talk about do a power bomb.
Yeah. This is like the first time doing this without a freaking hat on. I keep wanting to mess with my hair. Of course,
I was going to say, I can tell you're getting annoyed.
It's in the mirror. Okay, I'll tell you what. Boom.
I'll fix that.
Problem solved.
Yep.
I have a new Superman hat on the way, by the way.
Cool beans. Yeah, I think the wife just told me she got me something Superman-y. I believe it was a t-shirt. We'll see when it comes in, and I'll sport it.
I got a Batman shirt, just black, yellow Batman symbol on the front of it. Okay. And my grandson turned 2 in February, and at his birthday party, he got a Batman shirt from somebody. It wasn't us.
Right.
but it's like kind of blue camouflage with a bat symbol on it. And so the other day we're talking to him through FaceTime, him and his mom, and he's wearing the shirt. And I said, "Oh, Dean, what's that on your shirt?" And he goes, "Batman." And I said, "That's right." And I said, "Pop's got a Batman shirt too." And I jumped up really quick and I put it on, and he thought that was the coolest thing. Pop
there you
was
go.
wearing a Batman shirt too.
Same shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got him to go, "I'm Batman," which was pretty cool.
You gotta grumble it kind of.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see there. Here we go. Okay. I'm ready to go. I think.
I am rolling.
I'm ready to go. Okay. Rolling.
I don't remember this story at all, so this should be fun.
Okay.
Oh, no, I do. Yeah, I do. Okay, never mind.
You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode 53, The Life Insurance Con. Con. No, not that kind of con. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Ed, and 1,000 miles over there to my left is another host, Mr. Steeven Orr.
Hello.
I talked about the things that I wanted to talk about, so I got nothing.
I don't know if I have any banter.
I got nothing. We should have held up talking about your shirt, your Batman shirt, and insert it here. You cut it. You should cut it and then insert it here. And
the following banter was previously recorded.
Yes, pre-recorded banter. Enter here.
Yeah. I feel like, I will say that my wife is a huge fan of the Avatar movie, and I like it. It's a good movie. I've seen it a couple times.
Blue people.
Yeah, the blue guys. Yep.
Okay.
But she just freaking loves it. And we were gonna go see it in the theater, the second one when it came out in the theater recently, and then we just never got around to it. And so it just became available digitally on Tuesday last week. Okay. So I bought it, and I told her, I said, let's watch it. And we still haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it.
Oh.
So, but I'm caught up on The Mandalorian.
Okay.
Which I don't know if you've heard about who was in this last episode.
No.
Had a couple of guest stars, which I'm sure a lot of people hated because
I heard something happened, but I didn't pursue it to see what we haven't watched any of this season yet. So I don't care.
Jack Black and Lizzo.
Okay.
And Christopher Lloyd. And I thought it was a fun episode. It was a lot of fun. It's one of those episodes that's like, the first part of the episode, is part of the main story, and then there's this stuff in the middle, and then the end of the episode continues. It's one of those. It
brings it back.
It's very much like almost like a Law and Order episode almost, because the Mandalorian and another character are on this planet that Jack Black's character and Lizzo's character kind of run, and they need their help to solve something that's been happening. And it's, there's even a moment where they're chasing somebody down the street and, the moment in all those shows where they go and talk to the doctor, the autopsy doctor, they're looking over the body and, if you look, they even had one of those moments. It was great. But I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, man, they're putting just stunt casting and all this stuff. And it's like, I'm sure that is part of it. But at the same time, if I'm a Jack Black or I'm a Lizzo and I'm a big Star Wars fan, if I got a chance to be in a freaking Star Wars show, I'm going to be in a Star Wars show. That's, what's her name? Ming-Na Wen?
Yeah.
I don't know if she's like a huge Star Wars super fan. And
okay.
So for her to be in the show is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There's a guy who's played a X-Wing pilot in a couple of the Mandalorian episodes. He's an Asian guy. He was in the show Kim's Convenience. Apparently he's a big Star Wars fan. Okay. And the TIE fighter outfit that he wore, he made that himself. So
that's a big fan. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have I honestly don't really have a lot of problem with casting
Well,
like that. Especially if it's a fill-in episode that's fun, you know?
along those same lines, people who are Star Trek fans need to go back and look at the spot appearances of people in the first run of movies, not the Pine
Yeah,
movies, but the this dude was a guard and this chick was a Klingon, and you're like, well, I had no idea. Well, but the point is, they can say they were in a Star Trek movie. That's
exactly.
it. The
Yeah,
point isn't for you to recognize them. They don't care about that. They just want to be able to say, I was in Star Trek 3.
yeah. Christopher Lloyd played a Klingon in one of those movies.
Yes. So, there you go. And now he's been in Star Wars.
That's
So
right.
he's got them both going there.
It's
I
like
don't think there's a
not
whole
only
lot
was
of
I
people that
Doc
can say that.
Brown,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah, on his own, it's like, yeah,
yep,
you've
yeah.
got your third IP there that's big and huge with that
I'm
franchise.
I'm not caught up with the Bad Batch. Do you watch any of any of
No,
the animated Star Wars stuff? I
no.
I dig them. I had started. I remember not a couple of years back. I started watching the Clone Wars,
Mhm.
and I remember right away. I was like, "This is not. This is dumb. This is not. This is. I mean, it's made for kids."
Right. Yeah.
But I just kept watching, and it just got better and better and better. And there's an episode where one of the Jedi is trapped in an escape pod floating in space after their ship gets destroyed. He's in this escape pod with some of the clone troopers. And these droids, the bad guys, are basically because they can go out in space,
Mhm.
they're going around to the different escape pods and cracking them open. And the
Okay.
clone troopers are just whoa, floating out in space. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so dark. you know, just all
Yeah,
these clone
that's
troopers, they're just killing, just not even like pew pew up, got him.
nope.
It's they're literally shoving them into the vacuum of space to die, in a horrible fashion. And it's ugh. At that point I was like, okay, this may not necessarily be for kids because that's
That
pretty dark.
yeah, that's close to not for kids. So,
Yeah. But the Bad Batch has been kind of fun. The guy who does those, Dave Filoni, he's almost like because he also produces with John Favreau the Mandalorian.
okay.
So he's almost like the George Lucas passed him the torch.
Okay.
He's very knowledgeable in Star Wars, and usually if his name is involved, it's probably going to be pretty good.
I like a lot of the stuff that Favreau has been
Oh
involved in,
yeah,
actually.
yeah,
I like his sensibilities in a
yep,
lot of just a lot of the stuff that he's done. It doesn't have to be Marvel
yeah,
or Star Wars, or well, I guess I should say Disney because it's all
yeah.
Disney stuff. But
Heck,
yeah, so,
did you see what's it called, Zathura? Kind of like a it was like Jumanji, but it was a space game. It's really
no,
good. John Favreau is very much he's like if he prefers to try to do his special effects practically and only add the CGI when you kind of have to, which
okay.
I
Well,
dig that about him. He doesn't try to solve everything with CGI. So
yeah, yeah. It's not. I mean, it's the CGI is intensive, but you can't necessarily say that his movies are CGI intensive,
yeah.
if that makes sense.
Well, and the freaking Mandalorian looks like a movie. I
Yeah, oh
mean,
yeah, yeah.
they're very well done.
It's expensive to make. It's got to be.
Yeah. All right. Banter complete. Chakunk.
Chung chung.
Maybe I'll add the grandson Batman stuff, but stick it at
Oh,
the end after the song.
okay. Alrighty, folks. Today we're going to be looking at the insurance. Excuse me. We're going to be looking at the Life Insurance Con, which originally appeared in Action Comics 29, cover dated October 1940, with an approximate sale date of August 22nd, 1940. The story is written by Jerry Siegel and arted by I made that word up, arted, by the way.
I like it.
Jack Burnley, and all of that information, including the synopsis I'm about to read, is no, I'm not reading it. I mean, I'm saying it off the cuff. Is coming from Mike's Amazing World of Comics. Yeah, this is all me, by the way. I'm not reading any of it. This is not scripted. I don't know what I'm thinking. All right, so Lois Lane visits the home of Ms. Davis, an elderly one, Mrs. I guess that's Mrs., right? MRS is how
Yeah.
you say that, Mrs. Okay, yeah, MS is Ms. Mrs. Davis, an elderly woman with Clark Kent. Lois learns that another woman, Mrs. Bradford, has died recently. Clark discovers that the woman's aspirin has been poisoned and believes the death was done for the insurance money. Investigating, the reporters visit Graham's drugstore, which sold the aspirin, not Ounces or Pounds drugstore. It's Graham's drugstore. See what I did there? Yeah, okay. They find no evidence as they are thrown out of the store, and they witness a hit and run accident in the street, which kills another woman. A mob then attacks the drugstore, which forces Superman to intervene to stop the riot. Later, Lois and Clark call on the insurance agent, Mr. Fullerton. He's angered by the allegations and throws them out. Lois returns, however, to find Tom Bruce, Mrs. Davis's neighbor and initiator of the riot, in Fullerton's office. Lois is captured, but Superman rescues her. Superman trails the Hoods while Lois confronts Fullerton again. Fullerton brings Lois to his boss, Martin, who is also the boss of the Hoods. Martin reveals he's behind the insurance scandal and he's trying to pin it on Fullerton. Superman arrives too late to save Fullerton, but he does save Lois and catches the crooks. Now, this synopsis, after having read it, is very confusing. And the story is pretty much as confusing as that, to be honest. It was not a...
Yeah.
It wasn't the most coherent of stories in Superman in the past 2 or 3 years we've been reading. It was not the frantic all over the place, but it was like the what all over the place.
Yeah, but it should have been pretty simple. I mean, it's an insurance scam. It's
yeah.
I did like the twist that the pharmacist wasn't the bad guy because you think he is, and
well, I mean, with the name Mr. Graham, you would think
right.
that, it's him.
And we get a splash page. I think we've only had like 1 or 2 other splash pages so far,
and it applies.
Yeah.
So
splash page has something to do with the story, which is crazy. And of course, Jack Burnley. I love me some Jack Burnley. I still want Jack Burnley on one of those crazy stories, the fast-paced crazy stories, but they just seem to save him for the more pedestrian type of stuff for some reason.
Jack's not getting a good draw when it, no pun intended, when it comes to the art on these.
Yeah, it's all right. We got Tom Bruce. I love anybody that has 2 first names is always fun. Yep. And whenever you use the name Bruce, I can't help but think of Monty Python. Bruce. All right, Bruce. Tom Bruce.
I think of the
Australian
song,
men whose name are Bruce.
The song that states "Don't Get Me Down," Bruce.
Yes, Bruce.
Yeah. Although I think if you actually research that, they're not saying Bruce; they're saying something else that is a completely different word. So you're like, why does it sound like Bruce? I don't know. It's.
I just assumed he was yelling at Bruce Springsteen. Don't get me down, Bruce.
And Terry Ann, if you're listening, who is it that does that song? Don't get me down, I can tell you that. Bruce. Who is
ELO.
it? Is it ELO?
Yep.
Okay.
I only know that because do you remember a number of weeks back I talked about the massive playlist I was making?
Yes.
That was one of the songs on it.
Okay. So there you go. Oh, okay. She just yelled from the living room. I don't know if everybody heard her, but yeah.
Yeah, I heard something.
Yeah, that was her. I will say that I think I like Burnley's drawing of cars. This first page here, from all of these different angles, this is a really good car that they've got Clark in. It doesn't. It's not skimped on, really. I mean, it's a good model that they used, and he was very diligent about the different aspects of the car. So I
His
do like that.
he has a very um, I would call it a kind of a realism type of style with his art.
Hmm.
You know, his people look. I mean, if you're looking at the page with the car on it, that second page, one,
Hmm.
two, three, four, five, six panel that just has Lois and the word balloon on it. I mean,
Yes,
that
she.
that could have been traced out of a magazine. Frankly, that could be like a Greg Land type of thing going on there.
Okay, now
But
go to the next page and look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the old lady.
yeah, same thing.
It's not overly detailed, but it's like this is a photograph, and he traced it off of the photograph just enough that you get a good image of her actual face. That it looks like a
Both of
real
those
face.
both of those panels literally with the exception that they're two different people are the exact same panel.
Yes, you're absolutely right. The head angle and everything, and yeah, I didn't put that together until just now,
even
but yeah, that's.
even the hand in the frame,
Does Lois have Lois
Lois
does
is
have
doing this and then
a
the old
hand
lady's doing
up,
that.
and
Yeah,
yeah, okay. All
but
right,
yeah, I
Jack,
mean that
what are you doing,
you know
man? You've got a picture somewhere that he refer. I've got to use this at least once in the story.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the way he draws Clark, especially in that second page, there's the second panel from the end. Clark's driving the car. It's he looks like a big guy. He looks like
Hmm.
a pretty well muscled dude. And
Yes.
he's got the broad shoulders and he doesn't look like meek, mild. He doesn't draw him in any kind of stooped, way. So
It,
he
right. Burnley believes that the glasses are enough. That's all
yeah.
that you need to separate the two individuals. And I like the fact that, yes, Superman kind of looks like a stereotypical football linebacker.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, which makes it even more difficult to accept when he acts like such a fop, because he's this
Yeah.
big burly dude. It's like, why are you letting him do that? So I
Yeah,
I, I like
he's a
that
big
aspect.
Kansas farm boy,
Yes,
He's
exactly, and
looks
that's
like
what
the
he
kind
looks
of
like.
guy that would have been out there throwing bales of hay.
Yes, for 12 to 15 years, working on a farm, he
Yep.
has the look. Yeah. And the synopsis said the a woman gets hit. It's not just a woman that gets hit. It's the neighbor of Mrs.
And what was her name? Davis.
Yes, the neighbor of Mrs. Davis, who is not keen on the insurance dudes. So she was killed in order to hush up that nonsense. So it's not in her neighbor's ear. Oh, you need to be suspicious. So they just offed her. So it's not just that it was some lady that was like, no, this is somebody that could be trouble, that they offed.
Yeah, because she even tells, and Tom Bruce happens to be in the room when she says it. She basically tells Lois, "You and I will get together later, and I will tell you a story that
Right.
will be front page news." Basically,
Yep. So he's like, no, you won't. I
Terry,
don't know
by the
what the
way, in the
story is, but
Terry,
um,
by the way, in the comments says that you can't chat when you watch the show on TV. That is true. Uh, Usually, if I'm watching a live show like this on my TV, I'll have my phone also watching it at the
so that
same
you
time,
can
just so
chat.
I can
Yeah.
chat. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're right. Chatting on the TV. Yeah. Sorry about that. I hate to put you on a spot and have you bellow through the house, but hey, thanks for the input and the info, Terry Moore. So, and for those of you that are listening that have any interest, that's my wife. She likes to support me in most of my endeavors. So plus she does
not
have
these
some interest.
strangers.
So,
Yeah, not the Strangers with Paradise creator.
no, not that Terry Moore. Spelled completely different. Although my Terry may be able to draw. I'm not sure. I've never put that to the test. So we'll have to see. Kachu, here, draw somebody name her Kachu and see what you come up with. That's a deep dive for those Terry Moore fans, just in case you're wondering.
I like that Lois gets herself in trouble again, and
Yes.
it's very much one of those cases where she purposely kind of walks into it, and she kind of lies to Clark. It's like, I'm just gonna go and get a bite to eat or something. But he knows she's gonna go do something, and so he changes the Superman, and he's watching her from up on the top of the building. And sure enough, she goes to break into that office building, and she's got a little black hat on, which she was wearing earlier, but it almost looks like that's her thief outfit as she put a little black hat on.
Yes.
But
and she started this whole story that way too.
Yeah.
Setting up a date with Clark, showing up late because she had investigated and had put something together that she wanted to go take care of. And she's like, oh, well, why don't you just take me over to here at this address? And yeah, so she was
their
doing that
relationship
stuff.
would be so much better if they would just tell each other the truth.
It would certainly be easier, I think, on both of them.
Yes.
No reason to lie, because then you don't have to remember what you said if you tell the truth.
Clark does the neck pinch on the bad guy, which is good because he was an old dude. You don't want to see Clark, Superman, punch an old guy in the mouth.
No, throwing him against the wall or
Yeah.
And you certainly don't want the dude all scared falling downstairs and breaking his neck. So
no, but this guy is going, no.
He is cringing. So look out. And who knows? Maybe Superman is remembering. Ooh, the last time somebody reacted like that, they fell to their death. So I need to do something. Yeah, I need to help him out here.
Well, and the thing is, the panel where he's given the guy the neck pinch, had it not been for the narration, to me, it looks like he just chopped the guy right in the neck and the guy goes down.
That's what I thought. It's like a carotid chop there.
Yeah. He just broke that guy's windpipe.
Dude. Well, I mean, he is getting much more physical in his dealing with people.
Yeah. I don't know if there's really anything else I want to say. I kind of suspected Tom Bruce right off the bat because he comes off as a jerk.
He was out of place.
And in fact, I was really confused at first because when they introduced Tom Bruce, I didn't realize that he was in the room with them the entire time.
Right. Yeah.
Because he's her neighbor or something, right? Is that? Yeah, Tom Bruce, neighbor of Miss Davis, and they meet him at the door, and I just thought he was coming out of his apartment or something.
Okay, I thought
into him, and
he was like the brusque nephew of her or something. Is who he was going to turn out to be, or something like that.
And so we don't even know. I mean, I didn't even realize. Like I said, I didn't realize he was even in the same room with them until the next page. And suddenly there's this guy behind her wheelchair. And I'm like, who the flip is that?
Yep.
And then, oh, okay, that's Tom Bruce. Because he hears Lois and Clark in the bathroom. Lois is getting ready to take the aspirin. And he, because of his X-ray vision, he can see that there's poison in the aspirin.
It's tainted.
So so he accidentally bumps into her. So she drops
him.
He's like, oh, you clumsy oaf, you made me drop them. And oh, look, but these aren't aspirin, they're poison. And Tom Bruce is just kind of sticking his head Poison, you say?
What?
You know?
They're what?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I suspected Tom Bruce of being the bad guy, but he definitely comes off as a cranky old man right from the beginning.
Yeah, there's something about him. It's like
He's
yeah.
he's the guy that would come out on the porch, get off my lawn, that kind of guy. Kids walking through my grass.
Which is now me, by the way. I am that dude. So I'm okay with it. I own it. It's yeah.
I'm kind of that way too, but it's less about keeping my grass protected and more just I don't want to deal with anybody. I see somebody park out on the road next to the house and right away I'm at the window going, what are these people doing? They
Right.
better not be
Why are
coming
you
to the
there?
house. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yep. That is not where you belong. So
Yeah.
you shouldn't be
Yeah.
there. Yeah, just I mean, other than I was going to say straightforward. The writing of the story is not necessarily straightforward.
Yeah.
We're given some fakes and feints here and there, but it's an insurance scam, and people are oft for the insurance. You think since the aspirin is tainted, well, the pharmacist is no, he's not involved. Um, it's a little confusing about the what do they call it? An insurance club. My insurance club. I've never
Yeah.
heard. I used to sell death insurance. Well, excuse me, life insurance. But the reality is, no, it's not life insurance because you don't
No.
get paid for living. So that
Be
means
nice
it's
though.
death insurance. But you can't call it that because that's kind of morbid.
Sometimes though you wake up in the morning and you look at the news or whatever and you're like, I guess I'm alive today. I should get some insurance for living through this crap.
But yeah, an insurance club. I guess that's.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the times that this was written or that is part of the scam or I don't. The concept doesn't work
Yeah,
in my
I
head.
assume
I
it's the
don't know.
times. They also have instead of hit and run because they use that in another
Oh yeah, it's not hit and
one
run.
way
It's
back when. Hit skip driver.
hit skip. Now I knew right away what that meant because
Yeah,
I am familiar with skip being used with the concept of somebody who is a skip trace. Do you know what a skip
yeah,
trace is?
yeah.
That's whenever I hear what is it, bounty hunter or that's not the word they typically use, but in my head, I think of the word skip trace as what they're doing, and that's for those of you that I'm not communicating well with. That's somebody that hunts down people who have skipped on bail.
Yeah.
A skip trace.
Bail jumper.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, why can I not think what they're called? They're not. I mean, the TV show, the dog.
Dog
Was
the
that his
bounty
name?
hunter. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what he
that's what he
was.
does. Yeah.
He's a skip trace, but there's another word for it that you hear
Yeah, I
a
can't
lot
think
of
of it.
times. Yeah, I can't think of it either. Anyways, so there we go.
You'll probably wake up at like 4 a.m. and go, I got it.
Oh shit! Excuse me. Yeah, that's what I'll say
That's
when
all
I
right.
wake up.
I have started to mark. I already switched this over to say that all of our episodes are explicit. They have the potential to be explicit,
Okay. Yeah.
and I'm going to start doing that with all my podcasts because I'm just like, you know what? I used to be very much, I didn't want to swear in any of my shows because my kids were little, and if they would listen to my show, I don't need to hear that. But now we cuss around them, so say shit
Somewhat.
all
I
you
mean,
want.
yeah. It's like, and for good or bad, there are that small handful of words that are acceptable pretty commonly nowadays.
Oh yeah,
You know. The only one that I typically use, well, yeah, bounty hunter, is the F word. I'm horrible for dropping F
oh
bombs. I just
oh yeah,
because to me it's just another word.
yeah.
I don't find offense in that word by itself the way that other people do. So it
Yeah,
so I
when you really think about it, the idea of a word that you can't say around other people, shit, because or fuck, I'll say it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a word. You know, it's
what
it's a word.
Yeah, it's
So
purple.
silly.
It's
Yeah.
are you? Yeah. That's, yeah.
He said
But
purple. You know, who decided that these words are swear words?
I don't
Who
know.
made that? Did they get together? All right, so excrement, that's okay.
Yep.
Shit is bad. We don't want to say that.
No.
Excrement sounds pretty gross to me.
Well, and it takes a lot more effort to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
I always bring it back to Monty Python, but there's a really good moment in a Monty Python sketch where there's a penguin on a television set, and there's something about it that makes the Graham Chapman and John Cleese, they're dressed as old ladies, makes one of them mad. She goes, "Intercourse the penguin."
okay. I'm like oh, okay. I get it. Yeah, I'm the dude that when I was in college, did a speech for speech class. It had to be off the cuff, and I did an off the cuff speech giving examples of how the F word can be used for all 8 parts of speech. And so that gave me the
Yeah,
opportunity to say it many,
that's
many
great.
times in my
Yeah,
speech.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
it's a pretty versatile word. It's the duct tape of curse words, frankly.
it kind of is. Yeah. It's you can use it anywhere, and
Yeah.
it typically holds up. It's
Oh yeah.
yeah. So
The thing about the word shit that cracks me up though is that you can kind of tell there's a moment in time on TV where, like, for example, when The Walking Dead started, they could say shit. That was like the biggest cuss word they could say.
mhm.
So they said it like all the time. It's like, oh my god, how many times can you use the word shit in this episode? It's funny. It's you know, well, we can cuss, so we've got to cuss all the time. But the only thing that we can really say is shit. So we're
Right.
just gonna
Yeah.
use it all the time. All
That's
right.
it's all HBO will let us get away with, but
Yeah.
we're gonna do it. It's
We're
like
gonna
okay.
really bear down on it and say it as many times as we can.
Is that a pun? Bear down?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't even
You
think of
didn't
that.
even realize you did it.
No,
Yeah, okay.
no. But here's the thing, though. On the other hand, I'm also a big fan of. Again, I'm going to bring it back to Monty Python. Um, John Cleese has always said that he's not a big fan of working blue because he thinks that it's easier to get laughs that way. You know,
Okay.
it's you have to be more creative to create humor without cursing.
Right.
However, if you can go, and he uses Monty Python's Life of Brian as an example. You go through the entire movie without swearing, and then there's this one part in the movie where Brian tells everybody to fuck off. It is like one of the funniest moments in the
Yes,
movie
because
because
of
it's
that.
so unexpected.
Right. Yeah.
They had
It's
been
like
saying the
you
F
went the
word all the
whole
time up to
movie.
them. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So um I it's an insurance scam story. It's a
Yeah.
little bit convoluted. Superman isn't overly Superman-y. It's a very street level, almost pedestrian kind of. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't really have to do much Superman-y stuff, so he didn't. Um,
It gets to the point where you think it's going to really start getting crazy because they have the big mob that comes to
at,
the
at the
pharmacy, and you
pharmacy,
think,
hmm
oh, here we go, and then doesn't
yeah,
really go anywhere.
Superman
It's
kind of
not like the
squelches that.
last time we saw a mob, they hung two guys from a tree in a
Uh,
Superman story. So
yes, yes, indeed. That's I'm still scarred from that.
right, the
Yeah,
little legs dangling in the air in that comic book.
I'm not ready to really talk about that a whole lot
Okay,
yet, but that was yeah.
I just triggered Ed.
The I I have been triggered. The lynching scene in the Superman story, yeah, that was very very scarring, impactful. It's very impactful. And yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. The little the
yeah,
tree. Wow, in a
yeah,
Superman. Boy, they had a point, and they were going to get it across in that
yep.
story. Okay, yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say, and I think my little earbuds are about to lose their charge. So
Okay. Alrighty, folks. This has been the Superman Super Show. We want to thank you for listening. And until next week, I'm Ed, and that's Steven. Ciao.
bye. All right, let's save that one. You know, I fairly proud of myself because I'm supposed to, if I stick to my schedule, release a podcast episode tomorrow. It's
Okay.
supposed to be a new Conan episode, but nowhere near ready. And around Wednesday or so, I just said, I just won't do one this week. And I was okay with that.
It's not ready. So,
yeah. It's like I could put something together and it'll sound like crap. Or I can just not even worry about it.
Exactly. I mean, you do this because you want to.
Yeah.
So the other side of that coin should very easily be, well, I don't do it when I don't want to.
Yeah. There came a point this week where I just kind of went, what would really happen if I just didn't put the episode out? What's going to happen?
No.
Yeah. People are going to, big mob of people outside my door. Where's the episode? No, not at all.
Lynchings and the tree there next to the house. And yeah.
The only person who pressures me to get the stuff out is me.
Yep.
So yeah. I'm really happy I got that Event or Else episode out this week, though. Tell you, boy, that Secret Wars 2 is some crazy stuff.
It's not good.
No,
it's not. It's not good.
No.
It just, Secret Wars 1 stretched some stuff, and it was, but then the follow up being that, it's like, oh, no, Jim, you're just, oh, it's, yeah. And I don't know if you have looked into it. You probably have, but the list of tie-in books for back in the 80s is just freaking huge.
Yeah, there as far as what they officially say, in each issue, there's at least 3 between each issues that you need to read. And I can tell you that I read some of the tie-ins between issues 1 and 2, and they didn't really add much more to the story.
No, not to the story. Now, it may explain that one thing. It may explain why that one person is there, but otherwise, it's like, no, I don't.
I think I even said in one of the episodes, because like I said, I did read the tie-ins between issues 1 and 2, and the only thing that happened in those was in an issue of X-Men where Rachel Summers talks to the Beyonder about eating food.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even need to read that, because in the next issue, they tell you in an editor's note that she told him about food in that issue.
Right.
So,
yeah. Now, I think there is. Have you read Secret Wars 2 before?
I did way back in the day when it first came out. Yeah.
Okay. Isn't the miniseries the first appearance of one of the X people, like Boom Boom? Or
I don't know. The only X-Men we've seen so far has been in issue 1, and I don't think any of them were new.
Is he driving around in a Cadillac through space yet with somebody?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think that scene is her, and you have to go to another book to find out why that is occurring, because you open it up, I think, and there it is, and you're like, why in the world? So otherwise, that's the only point I can remember where it's like, what is this in the main series? Where did this come from? And it came from another book.
Yeah, issue 4 is the one I put out this week, and I haven't read issue 5 yet. He does fly around in a Lamborghini in issue 4, but
Is there somebody with him?
no.
Dazzler? Dazzler's not in.
Dazzler is in that one. This is the one with the big romance. He tries to get Dazzler to fall in love with him.
Oh yes, the rape scene there. Okay, or excuse me. That's what a lot of people would tell you it is today.
If it's the part I'm thinking of that you're talking about, there is a moment in the issue where they meet. He teleports her from where she's at to a mountaintop, and he tries to woo her, and he teleports her to New York, and then to Paris, and then to this mountaintop, and then they start making out, and then she wakes up the next morning in his in a bed in his home in France.
Right, yeah, in his
Now
chateau.
there are 3 women there in the room with her when she wakes up, and they tell her, "You must have fallen asleep. The master, as they call him, brought you home, and we put you to bed." Now I do say, we don't know what happened between those panels.
Exactly.
For all we know, they could have hooked up, but they don't. They try to make it sound like they didn't. But
sure, and it's believable enough that they didn't. I mean, it's like, oh, okay, well then that's.
I mean, the previous issue, it's very obvious that he has an orgy with 6 women.
Yes.
So I don't know why they would beat around the bush, except for the fact that this is an established X-Men character.
Right.
They may not want to tarnish her reputation like that, but
okay. Yeah, I'm sure her.
I think Jim's got some stuff to work out. I think he's working through some issues as he's
Well,
writing this.
Yeah, there are some things about the Beyonder that you're like, dude, what? Yeah.
But my earbuds are down to 10%, so it's the first time I've used them on. I didn't know how long they'd last.
They did pretty well. A couple hours.
Yeah, I just got these suckers. They're pretty neat. I always thought they were kind of dumb, but they're pretty cool. They got this little sensor, so it knows when it's in your ear.
Okay.
So if I'm listening to something like a podcast and I take it out of my ear, the podcast goes on pause. Put it back, and the podcast starts back up again. That's pretty cool.
Yep. You have a good night too, Doug.
Yeah. Bye, Doug.
And Terry, I think, is already bugged out. So.
Yeah, Billy, if you're still there, had a good time on the podcast with you. And then you and I, we do need to get together to do it. Just Another Fanboy. I did announce in this week's episode that I am taking a break from Just Another Fanboy, but that's only because I kind of want to focus on Event or Else, and then the Death of Superman stuff starts back up next week, and I want to make sure that I get at least those 2, and plus these episodes out each week.
Well, I mean, we can record.
It doesn't mean we can't. Yeah, it doesn't mean we can't get together and record something, and I put it out.
You release it whenever. Yeah, it's
because I've finally gotten to that point where it's just like I don't care. Doug, I think he threatened that he would be at my door in the comments.
Yes, yeah.
I think that's what he was trying to say with that.
He'd be leading the mob.
Yeah, but yeah, just a silly. It's a silly thing to stress out about.
Well, I mean, and you're far from the only person that I've heard stress over things like that. So it's like, especially once you have done it. If that is what the norm is, you're concerned about not maintaining that norm.
Yeah.
So,
I mentioned to my wife the other day, it's because she's always talking about how I just think it's amazing that you were able to give up cigarettes and you were able to give up cake and stuff. And it's like, I think what I'm addicted to is routine. Once I get into a routine, it's very hard for me to get out of it. But once I get out of it, then that's the routine I'm addicted to.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So I think with, like podcasting, I get into this routine. I'm going to get these episodes out every week, and this is what I'm going to do. And then that's what stresses me out. But then eventually it's not going anywhere.
Nope. It's not going to cause any problems if you don't.
Yeah.
It's not like not paying your power bill or, something like that. It's,
Right.
doesn't quite have that kind of weight to it. So it's like, yeah,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah. All right, dude. Let's just plan on again 2 weeks.
Okay.
Probably a Tuesday. That's going to be what?
Yeah, let me take a look.
20
Today is what, the 6th?
So the 18th.
So 4 would be the 18th. Yeah. Okay.
We'll plan on it, and then because let's see. Today was, or this week we put out episode 49.
Right.
Right.
So you've got 2 already in the can. No, you put out 48.
But 48. Okay, so we'll
So you
have
got 2 in the can and then 3 tonight. So
Yeah.
that's 5.
49 and 50 will take care of April, and then the 3 we just did will take us through to May 15th.
Yeah.
So we could get together on the 18th and do it just another fanboy, frankly.
Okay. If that's what you want to do, that's cool.
But we'll see. We'll see. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
We'll figure it out.
I'll just pencil in record so that I have something there as a placeholder, if nothing else.
Good idea. Yeah, it's funny.
Okay.
What was it? Last Tuesday, when you had or Tuesday of last week, I think you had sent me an IM or a DM over at Twitter about something about the show, and I just went, "Oh crap, are we supposed to be recording tonight?"
Oh, yeah. I was asking about something else, and you're like,
Yeah.
No. It's
Because
good.
I think it was like in the evening, like after when we would have, and I'm like, "Holy crap, did I just completely miss that?"
Forget, yeah.
Because I've been known to do stuff like that in the past. Just
Oh, I did it. Billy and Evan, another guy, and I are recording about Thor, and we hadn't recorded yet. We were planning the first recording, and we had talked like 3 weeks beforehand. And in the course of the discussion, throughout this day, well, one could and one couldn't. Okay, how about this day? So ultimately, I put a date down, and my wife and I went out and was doing stuff. And in the middle of that, Billy texted me and it's like, "Dog, are you ready to go?" And I was like,
oh crap.
"What?" Yeah. So, I made apologies, and I'm like, this is where I am. Picture, so I can't record here." Yeah. So
Yeah.
somewhere along the way, I had just messed up the date, and yeah.
I distinctly remember back in high school, I was in the high school band, and one night I'm sitting around watching TV, and it just dawned on me, "Holy crap, we had a band concert tonight!"
Oh no, yeah.
So I go to school the next day, and my band teacher's like, "What happened yesterday?" I wasn't feeling good.
Yeah, really. Oh
And
man,
I'm literally sitting on the couch, and it was like 8 o'clock or something. I went, "Oh crap! I was supposed to be at a band concert tonight."
that's funny. Yep.
All right, I'm down to 5%. So
Okay.
I'll talk to you later, dude.
Alrighty, sir.
Oh, actually, let me finish the live stream.